Obviously, a lot of players contributed, but the 50-50 ball, the hustle play, how big is that?
Josh OKOGIE. I mean, to be able to get to the free throw line, he had 15 free throws. The transition defensive plays he made, the Superman tip in that he had, I mean, the three, like he was everywhere tonight. He came in with an attack mentality, getting to the free throw line. Defensively, he was a stud, and to do all that with a broken nose and your face feeling like, you got a lot going on. He was stellar tonight. I mean, you look at the stat sheet and you can see a lot of guys contributed tonight, and Ish, his ability to, knock down that three and then get to the paint and find Jock for a bunny. The young man puts in the work every day with Coach Scalzi, and he has a pound the rock mentality. He's grateful to be in the league, let alone being in the game like that. For guys like that to contribute to a win, I thought it was pretty cool. And then Mikhail, he continues to grow as a player. I thought the pass he made to Jock to find Ish is an environment that he hasn't been in a ton, because it's always Chris and Book. And so for him to make a play like that speaks to the growth. And, no DA tonight. Biz and Jock just hold it down for us. So I could go on and on about the contributions. I was just proud of the way we played, and to hold that team to 24 points in the fourth quarter was huge for us, because we weren't scoring it great either. So to win that quarter by 1 point was a big deal.
At the end of the third, you guys ended with a 7-0 run, had I think 3 offensive rebounds on 1 possession. How big was that ending that maybe would last?
Gave us some momentum, going into the to the fourth. I mean, we've had those moments in games where we haven't been able to create that kind of energy, and tonight, especially in front of our home crowd, to be able to play like that going into the fourth, I thought it gave us a bit of juice. And it just, obviously you need talent in this league, but playing hard with talent, it's a great combination.
Last thing I had was, you just mentioned obviously Wainwright. You always talk about the program and how player development. How much of what you saw with him tonight is a product of player development?
Yeah, I mean, it is player development, but it's the player committing to the development. You can come into the gym and just jack up shots and do your job and collect the check. You can be intentional about it, and our guys have been that way since we've been here. And so it speaks to the kinds of players that we have. And you work like that, and you sit on the bench and you never get your name called. It's hard, so you got to keep working so that you can be ready when you're called. And to see guys like Ish, J.O., and all of our guys, Jock, he's in and out of the rotation, and he comes in tonight and helps the team. Like, speaks to their intentional attitude about player development.
Monty, to your point on how many contributions you guys got in a game this close, you just think if one of those performances isn't there, that's probably the difference in the game. Can you just speak to how much it means for a team win like this?
Yeah, we've been talking about that margin for error when you don't have full complement of players. Everybody has to be able to step up, and when you're on the floor, you got to be productive. And I thought it reflected itself in the transition defense. Even when there was a mistake, we got back and we just kept making plays and didn't give them easy layups, even the ones that they scored. I thought our guys had a great attitude to get back. But like you said, if you said we're not going to have all the guys that are out, Book, T.A., Chris, Cam Johnson, I mean, Landry Shamet, Kevin Johnson, Charles Barkley, a bunch of people we didn't have tonight, and for us to score 112 points without that group says a lot about everybody playing together.
You showed a lot of confidence in saving the lead at the end, too.
Well, I mean, confidence and also, the skill set. He defends, and then he's able to get to the paint, and he's pretty poised down there. he's not getting there to just shoot floaters or attack for himself. He gets to the paint and he's under control, and he can get to the free throw line by drawing contact, and then defensively he's just a tough kid. So it helps to have his background.
Monty, with what you mentioned about the offense, just it's pretty remarkable considering all the ball handling we've done, but the offense still has its gears spinning 2 straight games away with it. What's the one thing you wanted to see Mikal, Saban, and Damian focus on in that role of bringing the ball up and starting things?
I think for the most part, like, don't complicate it. Get off the ball and then play in point guard. They don't need to play like Chris to be effective. Sometimes, and I probably complicated it some for Wash because I'm out there trying to get him to run sets and look for reads when that might not be something that he can do right now, because there are nuances of our offense that can be a bit complicated at times. But I think they've done a really good job of living in simple and using ball movement and body movement over making reads and seeing who's setting this screen and who's on this guy and looking for the, whatever they think is the weakest part of the defense. They've just played in simple really well.
Usually you have either, Wash in, if Saban's on the suspension, and then Saban in, Wash on the bench. So, but you had them in together at the end of the first and some stints after that. How'd you like them out there
It
together?
was okay. I thought because of Saban's ability to guard bigger guys, he could guard the bigger guard, and we could put Wash on the point guard, and vice versa if you needed to. But we needed Wash's ability to knock down a shot, and then he has the ability to get to the paint as well and find guys. So when you have 2 ball handlers out there, especially when you don't have Chris and Book and Landry and Campaign, like, you need guys that can get the ball down the floor so Mikal doesn't have to do it as much, because that can wear him out if he's got to bring the ball down the floor a great percentage of the time.
Coach, you obviously, Indiana was coming off of a back-to-back.
Yeah.
And then now you're going to have a back-to-back with Memphis coming in. Obviously, the last game was a rough one there. How much is energy going to be a factor considering a game like this, and then you got to rev it up again?
It's huge. Back-to-backs are, they're back-to-backs, but it's basketball. You know what I'm saying? We're home, we're not flying. Guys will be at their houses in an hour, sleep in their own beds, and I'm sure they're jacked up to play. And, they're still tough, but what can you do about it? Nobody's digging ditches. Nobody's laying tile on a roof. We get to play basketball.
Coach, I think the broadcast said this was the first time in Mikal's career he scored 20 plus in 4 straight games. He's been turning it around over these last couple of weeks, especially. What do you think kind of clicked as opposed to that one stretch where he was kind of struggling with his efficiency?
I'd love to give you a great answer. I have no idea. I just know he works. He has a great deal of care when he feels like he doesn't play well or he doesn't shoot it well or whatever the case may be. I just know that the young man works his tail off, and the harder you work, the probability is probably a lot higher that you're going to come out of those slumps. But he's an intentional worker. He's always been that way. And, I told him, I said, you have to stay this aggressive. When we get whole, I don't want him deferring to anybody, because it's going to make everybody better. And the environments that he's been able to play in pick and roll, and end of game situations, taking those big shots, has to grow his confidence. So I'm happy for him.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you.